Hello, my name is Brandon Clayton. Thanks for tuning in. I'm the Algebra Guy. Today, we will be discussing ordering numbers from least to greatest. So you'll get problems like the one you see on your screen here. Write the numbers, this fraction 13 over 20, 0.61, 11, 16, and orders from smallest to greatest. So it's important that we know how to take numbers in different forms, fractions, mixed numbers, decimals, and put them in a way that it's easy for us to put them in order from least to greatest. So let's see how to do this. First, I'm going to start with my questions for today, as I normally do. How to order numbers from least to greatest when there is a mixture of fractions and decimals? And how do we correctly use the inequality symbol to show the correct order? Without further ado, let's jump to it. So let's practice this. Now, this is not a necessarily new skill. This is just taking a compilation of a lot of lessons that we've done over fractions, decimals, and inequalities and put them together to see if we can make sense of it with these problems. So which one is greater, 3/8 or 0.4? Well, in order to do that, we need to do one of two things. We either need to allow these both to become fractions and get the same denominators, or we need to put them in decimals and we'll compare them that way. So it's going to be easier, I can tell you, just to put them all in decimals, because once you get into a fraction, then you're going to have to find the common denominator, which becomes a lot of work. So I'm going to just go ahead straight to the fraction. So since I'm straight to the decimal, since we already have a decimal here, I only have to do 3/8. So to get this to a decimal, I remember that 3/8 is the same thing as 3 divided by 8. So I'm going to do 3 and divide it by 8. That seems like a weird idea, right? How you take 3 and divide it into 8 parts. Well, it's possible. If you had 3 people and you divide it into 8 people, $3 and divided that into 8 people, it's possible to do that. You won't get very much, but you can do it. So let's go ahead and do that. So we can see 8 doesn't go into 3. We'll put a 0 there. And we're going to put a decimal because now we're getting something less than 1. And we're going to put a 0 here so we can keep counting. 8 goes into 30. Let's see, 3 times, 24. And we subtract. Bring down another 0. 8 goes into 67 times. And that's going to give us 40. Got another 0. Bring that 0 down. 8 goes into 40 5 times. And I can see that that's going to be perfect. So we're done with that decimal. So now we know that 3/8 is the same thing as 0.375. And we got 0.4. Now when we compare these, hopefully it's easier now. If I put them right on top of one another, lining up the decimals, hopefully you can see by looking at it which one's greater. So we start from the left because that's the greater value numbers. So it doesn't matter what the right is. If the left is greater, we're going to go with that one. But in this case, it's both 0. Then we look at these two, and whichever is greater is going to be the greater number. In this case, it's 4. So 4.4 is going to be the greater number. To show that inequality-wise, we're going to open that mouth, that inequality, up to the 0.4, and we're done. Please don't be confused by this being a longer number, mistaking it for a bigger number. So we start with the highest place, which is the furthest to the left. In this case, it's the 10th place. And there you go. All right, what about this one? So let's get this on the same term. So we need that 3/4 converted to a decimal. This is one of the fractions you should just know. 1/3, 1/2, 1/4, all fractions you want to memorize, and they're not tough to remember. The tricky part about this one are the negatives. You got to remember you have to think backwards with the negative sign. So 3/4, let's go ahead and change it to a decimal first of all. 3 divided by 4 goes to 0 times. It's a decimal. That's going in there 7 times. And I got a 2, bring down a 0, and that's going to go in there 5 times. So this is actually negative 0.75, and this is negative 0.5. Which one is greater? So we got to remember on the number line where these lie. So on the number line for zeros here, the bigger that value looks is the further down the negative line is going to go. The further left is going to go. So it's actually thinking opposite here. So my negative 0.5 will be here. and my negative 0.75 is here. So this is my bigger number, and that's our answer there. We got one. This is our last one, obviously. Wow, that was quick. So write the numbers in the right order. So let's change all these to decimals. We already have one in the decimal, so we don't have to worry about that one. So let's figure out this one. 13 divided by 20. That one go. That's going to be a decimal there. We add a 0. 20 goes into 130. 6 times, because I know it's going to be 120. Leaving us 10. Make it 0. Drop the 0 down. 20 goes into 100 5 times. So now I know this fraction here is the same thing as 0.65. And let's do the same thing for 11/16. 11 divided by 16. Can't go into there. We're going to put a decimal. This is probably going to go 9 times because 10 is 160. That's really close, so it's probably going to be 9. Let's see what's 16 times 9. 4, 5, and 14. 140. Whoa, that's way too big. So 160. Oh, I'm thinking 116 for 10. No, that is far too big. I needed to do a much smaller number. So let's try 5. 5. Yeah, I'm going to try 5, see if that works. So that's 80. If we add 16 to 80, that'll give us, yeah, we'll be able to get that in there, I think. So that's 6 times 6 is 36. That's 96. That's probably as close as we're going to get to 110 without going over. Because we need actually, can we get there completely? 16 times 7, no, that's not going to work. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. A little bit over. So the highest we can go is a 6. 6 times 16 we just saw right here is 96. And I'm guessing this is going to be a difference of 14. Let me erase this. And we keep it going. Got a 0. Drop it down here. 16 goes into 140. We got pretty close with this 9, so that actually wasn't a waste because now I know it goes to 16 times 8. 16 times 8. That's 48. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 128. So there's an 8 there. 128. And 140 minus 128 is 12. And I probably don't need to go any further, but I'm going to make sure I get this last piece here. 16 goes into 120. What's the closest we got? 7 times. Why? Because I can see that this is 128. So that's 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 7 times 112. And I have an 8 remaining. I'm going to drop down another 0. I don't think that's going to fit perfectly. Let's see. 16 times. Yeah, it does actually right here. 16 times 5. I love that. So we just have to go a little bit further. 0.6875. Now we got to put it in order. I'm going to erase this, guys. So if you're copying, you want to pause it here because I'm about to make us some room. So we did all that work. And now we got it in decimal form. And we put it into smallest to largest. So way I like to teach it for those who, if you struggle at all with ordering decimals, just line up the decimals. So I got 0.61, 0.65, and 0.6875. And so again, we start with the furthest left, which is all zeros, can't do anything there. And this one's all 6, can't do anything there. And this one is 158. We just take the biggest number, which is here, 8. So that's going to be in my first place. And this is in my second place. And here's my third place. So if I were to order these, 11/16 goes first. And then 13/20 and 0.61. And that's how you order numbers that are decimals and fractions. So did we answer our question? How to order numbers from least to greatest when there is a mixture of fractions and decimals? Yep. How do we correctly use the inequality symbol to show the correct order? Well, we showed that we always open them out to the greater number. And it's pretty simple as that. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Again, my name is Brandon Clayton, the Algebra Guy, and I will see you next lesson.